Human.
It is appropriate, actually, that it took us 4 times with different technical difficulties.
Not
to
even
get this
4. I think it's been.
Today.
It's also been like a week. We tried this episode last week. It didn't work. I mean, it's.
And then we were traveling, so we couldn't do it. So it's this. We're like so delayed. Then we're like, okay, we have to get it done. The deadline is tonight. And then we come down here to do it, and it's like everything's going.
Everything's falling apart. The lights aren't working.
Like, what?
Our phones are dying. I mean, it's literally like, what is happening? Yeah. What is happening?
So we're having a very human experience, just trying to get, because
being a human's hard, man.
It's freaking hard. Sometimes it really is complicated.
It is, right?
We have a lot going on right now. Some of our really good friends are moving.
I know, the worst.
We kind of like sort of said goodbye yesterday. So there's emotion. It's like, geez.
There's emotion.
Yeah, like I don't need. What a distraction.
I got enough stuff going on in my life without emotions. Right. I know. There's a lot of change happening, a lot of travel happening, a lot of sickness going around, it's just like,
yeah,
it's been nonstop.
Yeah.
It's been nonstop. I think that's everyone though, right?
I think so.
I think that's part of the human experience. Like, it's just crazy. I feel like we're perpetually trying to like arrive.
Yeah.
What does that even mean though?
Well,
because I think that's a lie. Like, we're perpetually trying to like get to this point where it'll all be fine one day and it'll all feel like a vacation.
Right. You can just coast.
Yeah. And that's just like not reality.
Right. See, we grew up in Florida where a large amount of the population in our direct like vicinity was retired or like well off, either way, they were like kind of chilling. But I saw that as like, oh, like when you get to adulthood, if you're good, you just get to the point where you'll coast.
That's interesting. I've never thought about that, like making its way into our headspace because we're both from the same place. And yeah,
that's maybe how it got into my head.
Yeah.
It got into other people's heads other ways. But I just think for me, I'm starting to realize like if you take on responsibilities and you want to have a full, vibrant, active life, it means you're going to be busy. Yeah. I don't have time to just sit around on the golf course all day. It's what I would like to do. Or I should say, I love to golf.
Yeah, yeah.
But I don't have time to golf every day or every week. And sometimes it's just like, holy cow. And I know that's like a ridiculous example of what it means to be too busy. But like we have like very basic things that sometimes get neglected in life.
Like our backyard.
Our backyard is...
it's like a jungle.
Yeah, no. It's
like a jungle.
You can tell how bad your backyard is by how big the other animals live. Like if all you have is bugs... It's like that's normal, but we're starting to have critters
that you can't see.
There's so much room.
Oh my gosh!
There's so much room for them to hide that we're actually created a nature preserve in our backyard.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yep.
It's insane. So and of course they feel comfortable because we're never walking in or out basically. So
I know. Anyways, I'm not trying to complain. I'm truly not trying to complain. I'm just trying to make space for other people who feel overwhelmed.
Right.
To be like, oh, thank God I'm not the only one. I mean, sometimes I feel like that. Sometimes I'm like, am I doing this to myself? Am I putting too much pressure on myself? And surely, yes, I am. And I'm taking on too many things. And like we've talked about, being a part of being a human being, right, is like realizing that you have limitations.
Right.
Recognizing that and like being okay with that,
Totally.
And learning how to navigate it, how to be, what did you say to me once that like maybe the goal of adulthood is like learning how to be well adjusted to whatever your life is, whatever situation you find yourself in, like constantly learning how to adjust so that you can get to the point where you're well adjusted in your life. But it's not like an arrival thing. It's more just like life is going to be crazy and chaotic. How do I not lose myself in the midst of that? You know?
And also I think it is real that there are seasons and sometimes you're in a spot of transition or you've already transitioned, but your brain or something hasn't caught up with your new reality. No pun intended.
Oh.
And so you're having to like, you're living in a spot where you're like not well adjusted. And then I think sometimes you can, with enough work and a little bit of luck along the way and stuff, you can get to the point where you do become well adjusted to your new situation. Yeah. And then who knows, a year down the road, there might be some other big pivot and all of a sudden now you're thrown into a craziness again, but I do think it is a goal, a worthwhile goal, I should say, to be well adjusted. Like I feel like in the old days, people say get a grip. But now that sounds really insensitive, right? Because it's not just like
get a grip.
It's not just like pull yourself up by your bootstraps, but I think it is like the point is to be working on it.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, is the goal to be fit? It's like, well, yeah, but the goal is really to be making the decisions that you get fit.
Yeah.
Whether that's physical or mental or spiritual or whatever.
Yeah.
Just trying, just
Health.
applying yourself to it, because we are all human. I mean, you noticed the other day that there were more Taco Bell hot sauce packets there's a shelf
suspicious.
where I keep the Taco Bell hot sauce packets.
Every time I leave, I notice that there's more that arrive in the pantry.
Yeah, but see, I never tell you
seriously because I never go to Taco Bell.
You never go to Taco Bell, and
because this might be a hot button issue for people.
Here we go.
I am not a Taco Bell fan, not at all. I don't even want it eaten around me. I'm not a Taco Bell fan because I got really sick one time when I was younger eating Taco Bell, and I've never gone back.
It's so sad.
Dom is the opposite. Dom loves Taco Bell.
I love Taco Bell. It's not even just the food. In fact, I don't love the food as much as I used to, although I still do love some particular items. But it's also just like, it's the branding. It's everything.
Does it take you back to your childhood?
I see that
what
bell
is it?
and maybe. So like this is the thing. This is why we have more and more hot sauce packets in there, because I don't eat fast food, first of all. Like I would say that
never.
This is the thing about being human. Like when I am at my best, I am absolutely a person who does not eat fast food.
Yeah.
I don't mess.
Not even tempted. Yeah.
Not even tempted.
Yeah.
Even when it's cheaper and it's easier, I will go home and spend time and money preparing a fresh meal before I stop and eat fast food. Okay?
Yeah.
At the same time, every once in a while, especially if you're out of town and especially if it's like late at night and I'm driving home and I see Taco Bell.
You see the bell.
I just go, you know what?
Skirt.
Skirt. And it's just like, beep, beep. And literally after it's done, it's like, ugh.
Really? You don't even feel good after?
Well, no. If I don't overdo it, I feel fine. But sometimes I'm just like, this is so dirty. You know what I mean? Like if somebody saw me right now in my car eating this,
I don't think they'd judge. No, I think a lot of people eat fast food. I think a lot of people do.
Yeah, but like, what if somebody from the gym saw me? Can you imagine if somebody from Orange Theory saw me wolfing down? And I don't even take this is how I think it's shameful. I don't even take the trash in the house. I put the Taco Bell trash straight in the trash can outside.
It's a very potent smell, though. I would smell it, and I'd be like, "You've been to Taco Bell, haven't you?"
And it's not that I'm keeping it from you. Let's be very clear about this here, okay? It's not that I'm hiding it from you. I just, if it doesn't come up, it never happened.
Who needs to know?
Right.
You never need to know.
Right. So.
I mean, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, thank you.
It's okay that you go to Taco. That's a human thing, all right? All this to say, we're human beings. We have limitations. It's hard to be a human being sometimes, but this is why I love this song. It really is a meditation on the humanity of Christ.
Yes.
I love thinking about the incarnation, and I think it's a worthy thing to ponder and pray about and think about, because it's mind-blowing. Like when you really stop to think about Jesus walking on this earth, laughing with his friends, having dinner with his friends, being moved to tears and losing friends, and I mean all of the different things that he experienced as a human being, and understanding that means that he can understand me in that way and my humanity and like
he can relate.
My limitations and successes and failures and everything in between. Like that is deeply and profoundly moving to me.
Yeah, and
I think worthy of spending time continually in our life, like pondering that.
Right. That he can relate to you. He knew that you would suffer. Like it's not that he suffered so we don't have to. Yeah. Right. That's been said a lot. It's like, but we can almost like suffer well when we remember when we can unite our sufferings to his, if he didn't have any sufferings, we couldn't unite to him in that way.
Yeah.
Or he couldn't unite to us or whatever. So
yeah,
it is
a
like a
good point.
powerful part of being a Christian. Like it's one of those like practical application things. It's like, yeah, we read about it, we kind of understand it, but
Yeah.
it's another thing to like really bring that to the front of your mind.
Right.
This was the first song you wrote after
Oh yeah, after
we went to the Holy
a
Land?
Holy Land trip, which was when 2 years ago. Yeah,
2 years ago. Yeah, the
2022.
summer, like May of
Oh
2022.
my gosh, what a trip!
Yeah,
What
that
a
was
trip.
amazing. We were supposed to go in 2020, right? And it got canceled because of COVID.
And then pushed. Yeah,
And it got pushed 2 years.
Yeah.
And I remember like,
I remember being like, "What?"
yeah. When they pushed it back
Where
2 years,
are
I
we
was
gonna
like,
be?
excuse me?
Yeah.
Like that's another lifetime from now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
But it came at the right time.
came
you know?
at the exact right time. I would say it was such an awesome trip. I still like think back on it sometimes. I just felt like drinking from a fire hose or something. The amount of like places that are inspiring and that something big happened in, and you know what I mean? Like all of that is just too much.
Yeah. Well, we didn't have a lot of time to process it because right after we went into like a 2-week trip in the UK with
right.
the band.
Oh my
and
gosh.
we were recording a live project live in London.
London sessions.
Oh yeah, London sessions. Wow, live in London. London sessions.
Although we should have considered that live in London.
Yeah, maybe that was taken. But yeah. So we went right into that from the Holy Land. So we really didn't.
Oh my gosh.
We didn't
Kinda
like
forgot
go
about
home
that.
and have a couple weeks where we were just like living life and processing that, you know?
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, this was the first song that I wrote after that trip.
Well, I just remember you were saying that in the context of how cool it was to visit like Jesus' hometown, basically, you know?
Yeah, Capernaum, and to stare out on the Sea of God. I think that, yeah, those moments in the Holy Land, being in places that he physically would have stood and looking out at the same horizon that he would have looked at, you know, staring out at the Sea of Galilee and just being like, oh my gosh, he must have loved water, you know, like little things like that, just being like getting context for these stories and for the person of Jesus.
Helping
and,
you connect to him like, as a person.
Yeah, I've said this before, but it's like, it felt like visiting your best friend's hometown and being like, oh, I get it.
Right.
I get it
like
now.
So much more about them makes sense. It makes more sense now that you've seen where they come from.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. So it was just
like, I've always wondered how Jesus was so tan, but now I get like, you know what I mean?
Desert and beach, you know?
Right. Like okay, this dude was
there are some
Mediterranean
vibes over there, you know?
Yeah, which like, okay, anyone who's been there is like, duh, but I just didn't realize that.
Didn't know.
You know?
Yeah.
Like some of the places we went were like, they looked like, you know, high-end resort, like beautiful palm trees and, you know, clear blue water and stuff. So I was like, okay, Jesus. Okay, you picked strategically.
You picked the right spot. Yeah. I know, no. It was really amazing. And was there anything about that trip in particular that you remember being moved by?
It was kind of a complicated trip for me. I mean, there was just a lot happening, you know, in my personal life, but yeah, I remember having a really profound experience in the like the cell that he was in the night before the crucifixion, Caiaphas' house. Yeah, it felt to me like one of the better preserved spots.
Yeah,
whereas it was, you know what I mean? Like everything else was like there was a church built on top of something, and they were like, so you know, 20 feet below here is where blank 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 happened.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know that at the time, or have been times where they needed to build the churches, like for like even to protect the sites, or they wanted to commemorate and honor or whatever.
Yeah.
It's great, but it made it more difficult for me to enter in, I think.
Totally.
But that spot, I stayed down there for a while, and I really just tried to almost do like an Ignatian type of exercise, you know, where I was really just trying to put myself there. And
it felt heavy in that room.
For sure. I mean, gosh, speaking of what you were saying earlier about, you know, Jesus suffering, and just how wild that is. It's like that's a room where you can almost feel what the suffering that must have been kind of coursing through him at that when he was there. Yeah, you know, and it's almost a spooky thing to like put yourself in that. But it wasn't like spooky or dark or scary in that way. It was actually just really profound. No. I had a very similar experience in Lazarus's cave,
that was really amazing.
tomb.
Yep.
because, they're not like 100% sure that was it, but you can at least imagine that it would have been a lot like that. And so, and I've always loved that story.
Mm.
And so going there and going down into the tomb, and then like basically when it was like, all right, it's over, like let's go, let's leave. That was actually the most profound part, was leaving the tomb.
Yeah.
That was good, dude.
Yeah.
So there was a couple of really nice spots for me.
I forgot about those. And the Shepherd's Field. Oh my gosh. There's anyways, we don't have to go into all of it, but there were so many spots that were profound and powerful and beautiful. And
we had an amazing priest from the UK leading us too. Yeah. So like there was, and we were with, Father Chris, and we were with our friends from the UK, many of whom we've been close with for years, and we love them. So it was just like it was just good vibes. It was just it was really fun.
Really fun.
Well, anyway, just in case anybody wanted to hear all about our trip. But the point is, it really helped us connect to Jesus as a human. And then we came back, and this was the first song you wrote. So just that's a helpful context for the song, because it is a reflection on Jesus's humanity and divinity. Yeah. But in whereas most worship songs are like a reflection on Jesus's divinity, and for obvious reasons. It's sometimes interesting just to stop and think about his humanity, as he was fully both, we believe.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And the other special part about writing this song was that it was the first song I wrote with Savannah Locke and Bede. And both of them, I had met Savannah before, but I'd never met Bede. And it just it was one of those sessions where we walked in and it just clicked. And we wrote this song, and I was like, this was one of the ones that I wrote in the last few years, that when we wrote it, after, I was like, what just happened? I just felt like it was an earth shifting kind of moment for me, because I didn't even know that I was capable of helping to write a song like that. You know what I mean? It was just really a beautiful experience, just being with them and getting to know them both as writers. And it just kind of clicked. And then we just started writing a ton together, because when you find a crew that kind of gets along and understands each other and vibes out, it just works well. Yeah. You want to recreate that, maybe we'll get them on the pod. That would be fun to do one with them.
Yeah. But, well, that's really cool, because you made something, I'll step away from it's the spiritual aspect of the song. It's just cool for you as an artist to make something that you're really proud of, and that you feel like, okay, I feel like we represented what we were trying to represent. Yeah. This song says what you were trying to say. And at least that's how it seemed like you were describing the experience. I'd imagine there's a different kind of pride in writing a song that gets super popular. That's another thing. But what you're describing is before anybody else heard it, you just felt like, I'm so proud that I, am a part of this song that says what these artists
what we
wanted to say. That's cool,
Yeah.
Because I know I've had a lot of the opposite experience when I'm writing, where I'm like, why can't I say what I'm trying to say?
Totally. And that it reminds me of what I've said before about this record, which is that I feel like my voice as a writer has never been more present in these songs. And I think that was one of those moments early on where I was like, oh, this is what it can feel like when you are in the song, your heart and the way that you communicate it, and when other people help you to craft that in a beautiful way, or melodies or whatever, this is what it feels like. Not to say that I haven't been in the past. I think I've just learned how to advocate for myself more and speak up and share my heart more, unapologetically and kind of unguarded. And because of that, then more of me is present in the song. It's duh. But in the past, I really struggled with that. And I think that was one of those moments early on in the record making process where I was like, oh, this has unlocked something for me. And I want more of that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know that. That's cool. Yeah. I'm really glad you said that. I'll appreciate the song on a different level too, because of that.
Yeah.
I want to talk about some of the lyrics. Speaking of just it saying what you wanted to say, there's a couple of moments that I like.
Well, please share. I know what my favorite lyric is.
Okay, yeah, you do that, because I'm looking for mine. I wrote it down. Sorry.
Mine is in verse 2, where it says, you know what it feels like when healing doesn't come, the sting of a heartache to lose someone you love. You know what it feels like to pray for this to pass and take a step forward when no one else understands. Like, I could go on so many different tangents with that verse, but it just carries the weight of human emotion to me, of all different kinds of emotions that are heavy.
Right.
And puts it in the person of Jesus. And it's just such a, I don't know, it's deeply moving to me every time I hear it and I'm reminded of it. Yeah, that's my favorite.
Wow.
Hands down.
It's beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. Because it really does help you to live your life and to carry your burdens when you reflect on the fact that Jesus, who you love, you know, the Son of God, right? The Savior, that he can relate to praying for something to pass. It's a reminder that like the Christian life is not about the promise of everything being smooth and easy.
Yeah.
You know, like it's not that Jesus suffered so that we don't have to. We will for sure suffer. You know what I mean? And I think there is something powerful about living the Christian life and allowing, you know, Jesus to help you carry the burden and know that you don't walk alone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it can actually help you to bear your burdens and to weather your storms and to keep carrying on.
Yeah.
You know, and eventually, you know, get through the valley and be able to start climbing the next mountain, you know?
Yeah.
And kind of keep on moving. So if you can apply it, it's really helpful. And it became a lot easier to apply the idea of Jesus bearing burdens and being a human when we went to where he lived.
Yeah.
It just was a cool, kind of unexpected
connection or something.
Connection.
Yeah.
And it just really does help you remember that he knows what all that feels like when healing doesn't come. That's an interesting one, right? Because people in the church pray for healing all the time, as well they should.
And he is the healer.
So
but
why
there were
why
times
not?
when he chose not to.
Right.
And people that weren't healed. And you know what I mean? Like,
right.
That's a whole other tangent. But
yeah, it is. And
but
you can't just avoid it. You know what I mean?
No. And even like, lose someone you love, like Lazarus, and just remembering that Jesus literally felt that and wept, even though he could have stopped it. He didn't, you know, he ended up writing that one. But yeah, all of that is just really profound to me. It has been a helpful thing for me to just remember and honestly, like, repeat that part of the song over and over.
I love that verse. I'm going to listen to it more carefully too from now on. I really think about those words.
What about you?
You know what it feels like to look up at the stars, the ground underneath you, the beating of your heart. I know, especially when we lived in Florida, one thing I found that I got a lot of is reflection time in nature, because like our life was just very outdoor centric when we were there, you know, in a way that it isn't now. It isn't here. We do go for a walk outside pretty much every day. Yeah. But I would go to the beach pretty regularly.
It's a different level.
Yeah, I would go to the beach pretty regularly, or I would, especially at night, and it's just be dark, and I could look up at the stars and just think for a while, you know? And that's just not something I do here for obvious reasons. So it was, I loved that line, because that's like a very human thing I can relate to, is just all the thoughts that might be racing through your head as you're standing underneath the stars, looking up, just contemplating all that is and could be. And it's just another way that helped me think about Jesus as not only fully divine, but fully human. Yeah. And that's where I feel like a brotherhood with him. And, you know, we've talked about this before. It's probably way too long and complicated to really explain on this episode, but I did an Ignatian silent retreat. Yeah. And
I think you talked about that maybe last episode.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. We're doing these out of order, I guess, huh? But that was something that I got. Yeah. That was like connecting with him in the Ignatian style really helped me see him as a human, because you put yourself in the story. And so then it's like, you know, like Christ, my brother. You know what I mean? Like that's like a title that we use. And that's a really interesting one. Yeah. Because it's not just like Savior and Lord, although of course it is, but Christ, my brother is almost like that's the part where I connect with him as a human. You know what I mean? So
That's very real.
Yeah. Anyway,
I love that.
I think it's really important to connect. This is going to sound so obvious, right? But it's really important if you're trying to live the Christian life to connect with Jesus, the person. I think it's pretty much essential, and it's weird how long you can kind of be involved in Christian stuff and not really be able to tap into that connection.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that's a really good point. Well.
All right. Human. Was that okay?
I think that was great.
Obviously, we're human, so it could suck.
No, I think that was great. Everyone, go take a walk outside, put in your AirPods, and listen to Human. And let that be your moment of prayer today and connection. That's your homework.
They're like, hey, we didn't know we were going to have homework. Okay? This better be a first and last.
Speaking of homework, we got to go cut open our sourdough bread that I just baked because it's fully cooled down.
By the way, if they follow you on socials, they might see a picture of it. This is your most beautiful loaf yet.
The best.
Structure.
Rise. The crust.
The scoring was almost perfect.
I need to work on that.
No, but it was really I need to work on pretty the scoring.
Solid. Yeah. But anyways.
Is Human one of the songs that we talked about either slowing down or speeding up for a potential remix? Remember how we talked about some of these songs could be remixed?
For sure. Like
the fast
club
ones
remix.
Could be slow, the slow ones could be fast, or just like
a no filter club remix. No, I'm just kidding. That wouldn't be good.
No, I was thinking like no filter heavy metal. You know? You are no.
Human. I don't know what I would remix it as. Maybe like a jazz vibe. I don't know.
All right. Well, we can't make any promises.
Open to people chiming in.
All right.
What kind of remix do you want to hear of some of these songs? You know, what styles?
That could be a fun little project.
Yeah. Another homework assignment.
But for us this time.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. All right, everybody.
Peace.
Fare thee well.